The aftermath of ending temporary protected status for thousands of Haitian immigrants in Ohio. Ahead on Face the State, thousands of Haitian immigrants in Ohio recently lost their legal status to live and work here, and they could be deported. So what are they doing now, and what's being done to help them? Two Haitian community advocates join me in studio to discuss the current uncertainty. Could the case of the 16 children removed from a home in Vinton County spark change in Ohio? It is prompting conversations at the Ohio State House. Hear from a state representative about the unique challenges facing rural Vinton County. Plus,
overall, not having to shift back and forth is probably a good thing.
is it time to stop changing the time twice a year? The U.S. House says it's about time. Hear what others are saying about the bill to make daylight saving time permanent. Face the State starts now. Thanks for joining us for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. It was just over 3 weeks ago when the U.S. Supreme Court effectively ended temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants living and working in the U.S. That includes an estimated 12 to 15,000 in the Springfield, Ohio area. After the ruling, hundreds of people gathered at Springfield City Hall in a show of support for them. A handful of protesters also showed up to support the court's decision and President Trump's immigration policies. The ruling leaves the soon-to-be former TPS holders with anxiety and uncertainty and in limbo, open for possible deportation. It also strips them of their legal right to work in the U.S., raising concerns for their financial stability and the city's economy. Community members have been organizing to help people pay their bills and buy food. But what's next? Governor Mike DeWine has been very supportive of the Haitian community in and around Springfield. He said this after the June 25th Supreme Court ruling.
It is not in the United States' interest, certainly not in Ohio's interest, to have people who are working every single day, who are supporting a family, who are buying houses, fixing up old houses, starting businesses, and then put deep roots in this country and really are contributing and yank them out.
Joining me now to talk about the aftermath of the ruling ending temporary protected status for Haitian immigrants is Haitian community advocate Pastor Carl Ruby. Sir, thank you for being here. And Haitian Support Center Executive Director and TPS holder himself, Viles Dorsonville. Viles, as well to you. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start with you, Viles, if you don't mind. What are your thoughts today, now a few weeks after this ruling came out? What are your major concerns?
Yeah, my major concerns are phone calls that we've continued to receive from folks from the community asking us questions that we don't have answer for. Questions that what will be happening to them and the children after the 24th of July. And you know that when the livelihood of folks are being threatened, it's a major concern because they won't be able to budget for themselves, for their families, and for their kids. This is a very major concern in our community.
And so the 24th of July is the date that you'll possibly get more answers.
Basically, after the ruling, it was supposed to be expired on the 10th of July, but it seems that there is some type of judicial back and forth between the Supreme Court and the lower court, especially NRES, to align with the decision of the Supreme Court, and they keep postponing it for the 24th.
Now, how about for yourself? Or how concerned are you? I know you're worried about a lot of other people in your community and taking care of them as well.
I'm on the same boat as everybody else. So I am a TPS holder and an asylum seeker as well. So the same fate of other folks, also my fate as well.
Dr. Ruby, you've been involved in this from the very beginning. What are you hearing from the people you help in the community and also the supporters?
Fear. I think what a lot of people don't understand is we've been living in limbo for a long time. So like the first time that we were told TPS was going to run out was way back in August of last year. So there've been a series of like deadlines that have come.
February was one also.
February, but we really feel like this is kind of the end of the line. There isn't another step beyond this. So there's confusion. A lot of them are just, I think there's we think about them worrying about sent back to Haiti, but a lot of what's going on right now is they're worrying about how to pay their bills next week, and how they're going to pay their rent, and how they're going to have food on the table. And in some ways, that's a more immediate concern than being detained or deported.
Is the community rallying around them to try to help meet that need?
Yes. There are lots of nonprofits. St. Vincent de Paul is doing a wonderful job. Haitian Support Center is doing a wonderful job. But they are not resourced to take care of 10 to 15,000 people. And what's sad about this is it's just so unnecessary. They came to Springfield to work like every other group of immigrants. And if they could just be allowed to work, they wouldn't need aid. But this is a loss not only for Haitians, but it's a huge loss for Springfield.
Viles, are you seeing some people already like self-deporting, whether they're going to Haiti or somewhere else?
Basically, these are some of the options that folks are exploring. Those of them maybe who have family members in Canada, they are trying to see if there is a way that they can go there. But self-deporting is one of the options, but it should be the last option for folks because of the condition of the country, of Haiti right now. So I am not aware of folks taking that decision yet, but it might be the next decision to take if there is any other alternative.
What are your options then to stay here, or what are your community's options? Is it, you had mentioned you're seeking asylum as well, and you did that, I believe, apply for that a while back, right?
Yeah. Options that I can mention here is that for the community as a whole, if they have a child who turns 21, the child can petition for them. If they have spouse can petition for them to adjust the status. Other than that, for those of them who left Haiti for a particular reason, it might be a political reason, they were in politics and they became the target, they can apply for asylum because asylum is the only option that they have now, even though I think that it might not consider it as a safe status, but this is the status that they can explore to have now. This is why so many Haitians now who left Haiti because of a particular reason, because you cannot apply for asylum just like that. You have to be politically targeted when you were in Haiti, or you were part of a group that normally denounce the bad governance of the government. So those folks now, they're exploring the possibility to apply for asylum.
Dr. Ruby, you and Viles both, and others in your organization with G92, the different churches that have come together to help the Haitian community, have been to Washington, D.C. a couple times at least now when the Supreme Court was considering the case and making the ruling. The U.S. House did pass a bill to extend temporary protected status for Haitian and other immigrants. Do you have any hope right now of that happening in the Senate as well?
Yeah, I think we need to do everything possible to try to get our senators to support that. What concerns me is they don't need to just pass with a majority, they need to pass with a veto-proof majority. And that's a big challenge.
So you worry that the president would veto it?
Well, I'm certain he'd veto it.
Supporters of ending TPS have said the program is intended to be temporary. It's temporary protected status. Many Haitians have been living here under the status since after the devastating earthquake of 2010. So I guess why should Haitians be allowed to stay under TPS if it is a program, as they argue, that is temporary?
Well, first of all, I would encourage them to read the law that established TPS under George Herbert Walker Bush. And what it says is that, number one, it only applies to people who are already here. It doesn't allow people to come in. But for people who are already here, they can apply for temporary protective status so they are not sent back to a place that is dangerous. And the law only allows for three options. When the temporary TPS period ends, the president is allowed to do a thorough investigation and determine that it is safe and then terminate TPS. Or if they determine that it's not safe, they can extend another period. So instead of, we're going to give you another 2 years of protected status.
It's usually 18-month increments, right?
Yeah, or they can expand it and allow new people to apply for TPS. There's no condition that allows a president to end TPS without doing a study to prove that it's safe to send them back. That doesn't exist. And new evidence surfaced just before the ruling was announced that when Homeland Security first reached out to the State Department advised them to extend TPS. And they said it's not safe for people to return. I really thought that would make a difference in the Supreme Court ruling. Was disappointed that it didn't.
Viles, what are the conditions there right now in terms of potential safety or danger to go back?
Basically, since after the assassination of the President Jovenel Moïse in 2021, mainly the capital city of Port-au-Prince has been under the control of the gang members. And from 2021 up, they have been spreading all across the country. So the first thing that has been happening is that there are more than 1.3 million people who have been displaced, living in shelters where they do not have access to clean water, to medications, to food. Those people are at the mercy of NGOs, non-governmental organizations from elsewhere in the world. And the second thing, there are more than 5 million Haitians who are facing food insecurity. Okay. And the third thing, in those shelters, women and girls are being raped on a daily basis, on night and day. So now the international airport of Port-au-Prince have been shut down over the past 2 years because when American aircraft landed there, the hoodlums just shut it down. Mm-hmm. So, and the state department has put a category 4 advisory travel ban on Haiti. So because of all those type of things that have been happening there, and even the U.S. Embassy have been operating with a reduced schedule, and at some point they have to send back to the U.S. some of the staffers. Mm-hmm. So when you look at those conditions where there is a government that cannot control the gang members and people are on their own, so you can imagine that this is not a place to send people back there right now.
We just have about 15 seconds left. What's the focus in the next couple of weeks?
The focus is preparing for peaceful resistance and also meeting the immediate needs of people who are going to need help with rent and food.
Peaceful resistance, how?
We've been building a coalition for over a year and a half, and we feel that we have a moral calling and Christian duty to put ourselves between ICE and people they're seeking to deport, if necessary.
Dr. Carl Ruby, Pastor Ruby, and Viles Dorsonville, thank you so much for making the trip here from Springfield today to tell this side of the story. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And best wishes to you. We're still ahead on Face the State. More communities are pushing back on data center development in the Buckeye State. Now some advocates are worried about a proposed plan to regulate the water data centers could discharge into rivers, streams, and lakes, where a new permitting proposal stands. And later, it's about time. I mean, it's literally about time, whether to fall back and spring ahead. Where do you stand on the standard time versus daylight saving time debate? Hear where others come down on it after U.S. representatives made their stances known. Fallen Rittman Police Sergeant Scott Reese was honored in the U.S. Senate this past week. Sergeant Reese was shot and killed while responding to a domestic violence situation earlier this month. Senator John Husted gave remarks on the floor of the Senate.
His colleagues remember him as someone who wanted people to know that when they called for his help, he'd be there for them. And he was a person to respond with kindness and a community spirit.
Sergeant Reese was laid to rest on July 10th in Rittman. The case of 16 children removed from a home in Hamden in Vinton County is now triggering conversations at the Ohio State House. 10 TV's Carla Rogner talked to State Representative Mark Johnson about what this case has revealed so far and whether it could lead to changes.
My job to try to get funds Representative Mark Johnson sent this letter to Governor Mike DeWine the day after the children were found, asking for emergency state financial assistance.
Because I know the finances of Vinton County. Vinton County operates on an $8 million budget. $8 million run your entire county on.
Within less than 2 weeks, the state controlling board would approve $1 million to go towards the physical and mental health needs of the children and other costs that could have bankrupted the county. But Rep. Johnson says this funding is only the beginning.
We're going to have to budget for this in the operating budget. Also, this is not just a one-time expense, in my opinion. Will some be adopted? It's all possible.
The case has placed a great strain on the South Central Ohio Job and Family Services Agency. Rep. Johnson says he understands all 16 children have now been placed in foster care outside of Vinton County. Now he's asking questions about how to possibly prevent this in the future.
Should we put more money towards children's services? That needs to be looked at. Should there be more accountability? In my opinion, yeah, which we got to somehow have some oversight on calls come in, are calls being reacted to, but at the same time, it's going to cost more money.
The Ohio Department of Children and Youth has launched a review to see if anyone had ever reported this family. But Johnson says, if anything, the case has highlighted greater needs in Vinton County.
Since we have attention on Vinton County, is how can we better create wealth down there? How can we create good paying jobs? What can the state do?
Representative Johnson says this Vinton County case has been a daily point of conversation in his office for the last 2 weeks, and he plans to bring up some of the issues he's identified once the House is back in session, likely after the November election. Reporting at the State House, Carla Rogner, 10 TV News.
And for a deeper look at the case, watch our special, The Hidden Children on Omer Street, streaming free on the 10 TV streaming app. It's now been 8 months since the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency proposed a new permitting process for data centers that discharge water. It was back in the news this past week after a couple prominent Ohio politicians commented on it on social media. Some advocates have concerns about the possible contaminants in the water that could be discharged into Ohio's surface waterways, such as rivers, streams, and lakes. An EPA spokesman told me the agency is still reviewing more than 7,000 public comments before making a final decision, but the EPA says the standards will be strict. According to the latest information from data center maps seen on your screen, Ohio now has 237 data centers, with 125 of them located here in central Ohio. We looked into where the Ohio EPA's permitting proposal stands and what advocates and the EPA are saying about it. Community advocate Amy Swank has followed data center development closely since one was built near her neighborhood several years ago. And she's watching the EPA's decision on permits for data center water discharge closely.
Are there things like chemicals that could be part of the runoff that's in the water that somehow changes the makeup of the streams and lakes that it is eventually running into?
Right now, data centers in Ohio can only apply for permits to discharge water individually. If the Ohio EPA approves the new general permitting process, the standards would apply to all data centers. Tuesday on social media, both Republican Senator Bernie Moreno and Democratic candidate for governor Amy Acton separately made comments opposing discharging water into Ohio's lakes, rivers, and streams. Environmental groups have concerns, too, about potential impacts on rural water systems, as 10 TV reported in January.
It's like a small city, the discharge that will come out of these. And that will, if they don't have a sewage treatment plant, that will go into the streams or the river or another body of water.
In a statement, the Ohio EPA said Ohio EPA does not allow discharges that harm aquatic life, recreation, or human health. Every permit includes strict limits and monitoring requirements to ensure water quality standards are met at the state and federal levels. Swank is anxious to see what the Ohio EPA decides.
And frankly, I'm still optimistic that they say a general permit isn't a good idea for Ohio, and they rely on individual permits.
And the Ohio EPA spokesman also told me there is no timeline for a final decision on the permitting process. Still ahead on Face the State.
I do. All the time I forget to turn the clocks back.
The U.S. Senate is now on the clock after the House passed a bill to make daylight saving time permanent. Next, we're going to take some time to look into the debate that has once again captured the attention of our lawmakers. The seemingly age-old debate between standard time and daylight saving time is once again taking center stage in the nation's capital. Just this past Tuesday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Sunshine Protection Act. This bill would make daylight saving time permanent.
The American people are asking Congress, please standardize this and give us more light and opportunity.
Early morning light is an important environmental cue to set our body's internal clocks and promote alertness. And dim evening light tells our bodies that it is time to sleep. Permanent standard time is a healthier choice.
Supporters of the legislation say it would give families more daylight hours in the evening, which could have positive impacts on sleep schedules, people's health, and the economy. Critics of the bill say extended darkness in the morning hours of winter would have negative effects on health and safety. This debate has been going on for decades now. The U.S. Congress passed a law back during the energy crisis of the early 1970s to keep daylight saving time permanent for 1 year, but it was not popular, so the law was later repealed. Much of the debate around falling back in November and springing ahead in March is really about the impact on our internal clocks. Some people we talk to don't mind physically changing their clocks, but would like a consistent time year-round. On a hot summer day, time at the Scioto Mile Fountain is time well spent.
It's a great area to bring your kids.
Jim Lee is here with his 3 grandkids and took some time to talk about making daylight saving time permanent.
I realize there's some drawbacks to the kids waking up in the morning earlier for school and that sort of thing, but I think overall not having to shift back and forth is probably a good thing.
Todd and Tiara Jefferson brought their son Culture here to cool off and weigh in on a hot topic.
I prefer when I'm getting ready to get out to work or putting him on a bus to go to daycare or something that it's already light outside. I prefer it to be light outside.
But Tiara says changing the time twice a year messes with her son's schedule.
Yes, because sometimes, like if you want to for a nap or go to bedtime, it's still be a little light outside, and then he would think it's time to play when it's time to go to sleep or something.
Ohio Education Association president and 26-year classroom teacher Jeff Wensing says he sees both sides of the coin. He definitely worries about the safety of children walking to school or waiting for the bus in the extended darkness if daylight saving time is made permanent, but also sees the effects of falling back and springing ahead.
Everybody was a little sluggish for a while, whether it was a few days or a week, students, educators alike. You definitely talked about it. As educators, you could see the difference.
Meantime, while most say they are not annoyed having to reset the clocks in their house,
You get with the microwave and the stove and that sort of thing.
some still forget to do it
I do. All the time I forget to turn the clocks back.
and would appreciate a constant flow of time. Consistent would be better for like sleep time.
Yes, I do. I absolutely believe so.
You don't agree with that, huh?
What do you say? You don't want to talk?
He just pushed the microphone away. Daylight saving time or not, it might have been nap time for a little Culture there. So the House passed the Sunshine Protection Act on Tuesday. The vote in the House was 308 to 117. Central Ohio's 3 U.S. representatives all voted yes to make daylight saving time permanent. Troy Balderson, Joyce Beatty, and Mike Carey. The bill now goes to the Senate. I reached out to the offices of Ohio Senators Bernie Moreno and John Husted. At this time, Moreno has not yet said where he stands on the Sunshine Protection Act. A spokesman for Senator Husted said, quote, Senator Husted is listening to Ohioans in all parts of the state about this issue and is looking into the House-passed bill and its potential impacts on Ohio. So we'll see how this plays out in the coming weeks. Thank you for joining me this week for Face the State. I'm Doug Petcash. I'll see you back here next Sunday at 11:30. Have a great day.